Are you a noob at War Thunder? Would you like to become better? And have you ever played War Thunder? If you answer yes to all of those questions, this is the correct video for you. Okay, to start this video off, I'm going to present you, the viewer, with a bunch of scenarios that it is likely that you will face while playing War Thunder. Now, this first scenario is facing an enemy tank head-on, such as this one here. Now, facing an enemy tank head-on, you generally want to aim for this front glacier plate. Now, lots of people say that the front is the most heavily armoured, which is not wrong, but it's the weakest when it's at a flat angle like this and it's perfectly perpendicular like this. Now, you generally want to shoot in the middle, like about here-ish, not over here, not here, because it won't get what you want. Shooting in the direct centre here will hit all the crew, the driver, machine gunner, and the turret crew, like so. That's it, they're done, out, and you won. Good job. Okay, so scenario 2. If you are unable to penetrate the enemy vehicle from the front, like so, another method you could use is by going around the side. Like so. Now the indicator is green for the most part, and I can do some major damage, like so. On another note as well, on a large tank like this, it is best to shoot under the turret first, or you can shoot the turret if you can't penetrate here, as this disables the turret crew, such as the gunner, which is very important, so the enemy tank doesn't look at you and then shoot you. If you shoot there again, you can either get a crew knockout or an ammo rack, or you can shoot back here in combination with shooting here. Like so. Or you can just straight up get an ammo rack. It's always helpful. Right, here we go. Let's try that again. So what you can do is you can shoot here, disable some of the gunner crew, some of the turret crew, and shoot here. Obviously with a more powerful gun, not this pissy little gun, you could do some fair amount of damage. And eventually, you get a crew knockout, like so. Okay, so scenario 3. If you find yourself behind an enemy tank and they are unsure of your presence, the best place to shoot is not the engine bay. While it does start a fire, the enemy can just turn around and look at you and then shoot you, because now you have to reload because you wasted a shot in the engine bay. So the best place to shoot is the turret. One or two shots will easily knock out the whole turret crew. Now they are unable to rotate the turret and the ring has been damaged. You can simply advance down the side and get a crew knockout. Easy as. Okay, let's talk about positioning here. Now for what I'm going to explain, I'm going to use a Tiger H1, simply because it's the easiest to demonstrate with. Alright, so let's just imagine that where the camera is, an enemy tank is looking, and say this is you. So you want to position yourself not on a for a straight angle, I suppose, like this. So that means the armor is flat and easiest to penetrate, like I stated in scenario 1. So you want to make sure you're on a bit of an angle like so, because that increases the armor's effective thickness. See, because now it is effective with thickness of 123 mils up to 146 across the armor. And now this normal thickness would be 82, but also on an angle like this, it's at nearly 200 millimeters. Obviously the turret would be pointing at the enemy, but you get the general idea. This makes the tank, while it does expose more of the tank to shoot, it just means that your tank has effectively thicker armor. Another method you could also use, if you have no other way of defending yourself, you could back up to the enemy like this a little bit. Now you may be wondering, well, they can shoot the engine and it can catch fire. But if you remember back to what I said in scenario 3, if they hit the engine and the enemy tank has a very long reload, you can quickly put out the fire, turn the turret around and shoot them. Because the enemy, it's fairly unlikely to be able to penetrate the engine and the crew at the same time. The shell is most likely just going to get stuck in the engine, making your effective armor thicker again and protecting the crew. Okay, so say now you're in the heat of battle and you are behind a building ready to peek out and shoot an enemy that is, let's say, just here, around here. Now, a lot of people get the idea that the best way to, I suppose, park the tank to peek out is like this. Now, that isn't necessarily wrong, but that exposes quite a lot of the hull, the lower part of the tank, and the turret, especially when you pull out to shoot. That exposes the lower parts as well, and the full turret. Now, it is commonly, I suppose, agreed on most players that the best way to peak is to have the tank on a fairly severe angle like this. You get quite thick, effective armors, especially like this. Now, it's a bit of a trade-off. Thinner, so not thinner, but the I don't know what AI's doing, but more of an angle you have your tank on, like this is a very small angle, and your effective armor is increased by a lot. But that means if you want to back out and shoot, it's a fair way you have to back out and shoot. But if you have it more on a, I suppose, more obvious, wider angle, you don't have to back out as much, but the effective armor is less, and I suppose making it more easily to penetrate. This doesn't just apply to buildings like this, it can apply to, well, nearly anything that can, a solid object that can protect you, like a building, surroundings, nearly anything. Alright, so I'm going to go through some modifications now. I'm going to use the Churchill 3 as an example. Okay, so the first thing the game will start researching for you is the parts. As here, I've already researched it, and yeah, now I can repair my tank in the midst of battle. After that, all of these will become unlocked. Now you might want to get a better shot, better suspension, and horizontal turret and whatnot, but the best upgrade to get next would be the FPE, the fire prevention equipment. This allows you to extinguish the fire. If there is a fire, it allows you to extinguish it. Because once you're ignited and you're on fire, you only have about 20, maybe 15 seconds to put it out, or for a team member to come help you before your tank burns down. So this allows you to have 2 FPE, so you're allowed to extinguish your tank twice. After that, I'd say probably the best one to get, this one's probably the horizontal drive, or the adjustment of fire, one of these. The horizontal drive allows you to turn the turret faster, while the adjustment of fire allows there to be less weapon spread. Either of those two are good. So on this tank, after both of these are researched, or 2 more are researched, you can then be upgraded to tier 3. Now after you've been upgraded to tier 3 and you can research tier 3 modifications, the best one to get would be the crew replenishment. It's because if you lose a crew member, such as the gunner, or a driver or commander or whatnot, you're able to replace him with the crew replenishment. Basically how it works is, when you click the activate button, which is by default the equals key, all the crew decides to have sex, and in 30 seconds a full-grown trained crewman is replaced. Sorry, a dead one is replaced with this new one. After that's been researched, I'd recommend getting the elevation mechanism, and reduces weapon spread and increases the gun lifting speed, so you can then go faster, lift the thing faster, the gun. After that, well, that's all the important stuff researched. I'd move over to the left here and research the engine parts, filters, transmission and engine, so your tank can go faster and you can be more nimble. After that, I'd move back here. Smoke grenades, they're pretty good. They're pretty good, you know, if you're stuck somewhere, you can just deploy some smoke grenades and back out unseen. After that, I'd go with the shots here that do more penetrating, or might have different shots that might do different amounts of TNT or whatever. And finally, after all that's done, I'd move over back here, and you do these in, doesn't really matter what particular order you do these in. So, when you first start playing the game, it doesn't really look that important, but trust me, it's way more important than it seems. And that's the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching, and don't be noob on the battlefield, especially if you're on my team. Thank you, and have a good rest of your day.